10 years is a long time to forget a place, but even longer, to forget who you are. This was once her family's pride, a villa built with love, tradition, and memories passed down for generations. But when we arrived, all we found were broken tiles, vines taller than men, and a silence so heavy it felt like grief. Then she whispered, "I don't recognize it anymore. Is this still my home?" This is Hoa's house, 30 years old. Vietnamese by blood, American by life. After more than a decade overseas, she and her husband made a bold choice to leave behind everything they built in the U.S. and come back to a house everyone else had already given up on. Why? Because of two people, her grandparents. Now, nearing 80, their only wish is to live their final years in the same place where they first fell in love. But when Hoa returned, the house was no longer a home. It was a battlefield between memory and decay. Behind the gate, a garden overtaken by wilderness. Walls once painted in joy, now crumbling with rot. And inside, a silence that screamed. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Together, we walked through what remained. An old motorbike, frozen in rust. A cracked teacup, still sitting on the windowsill, as if time had paused, waiting for her return. And now, after 10 years of abandonment, it's time to breathe life back into this villa. We're starting at the gate. Overgrown, locked in rust, buried in vines. This is more than just a cleanup. It's a resurrection. So brew your coffee, turn up the volume, and come with us as we take the first step into a forgotten dream. The moment we stepped through the rusted gate, its hinges barely holding on, what greeted us wasn't the path to the villa, but a dense, suffocating wall of green, filled with thorns, chaos, and quiet despair. To the left of the fence, once lined with neatly trimmed ornamental plants, now stood a living barricade. Wild grass, waist-high, had taken over every inch along the iron bars. Thick vines, some as wide as a wrist, coiled around the fence like snakes, as if trying to drag it into oblivion. In some spots, the iron was bent out of shape, pushed and twisted by the relentless pressure of trees that had taken root right at its base. It was clear. Time hadn't just forgotten this place. It had slowly, silently attacked it. And this journey to bring it back to life has only just begun. It took us nearly 2 hours just to reveal the fence and the walkway on the left side of the villa, a path we thought had been completely devoured by nature. But that was only the beginning, because behind the front gate, an even greater challenge was waiting for us. The area just inside the entrance, what was once a clean, welcoming courtyard, was now buried under a sea of wild grass towering over our heads. Every step forward meant ducking, weaving, dodging sharp weeds that scraped across our faces. It felt like the entire front yard had become a wild maze, a place where humans were no longer welcome. Amid the thick overgrowth, we found remnants of time long forgotten. 2 rusted motorbikes, their brands now unrecognizable. One had a broken seat, the other a twisted handlebar, as if snapped in a fit of rage from the past. In this episode, we will open the main door and step inside a villa that's been locked for more than a decade, where thick layers of dust settle like ashes and old belongings still guard secrets no one has dared to disturb. Don't look away, because behind these doors lie more than just dust. There are truths waiting to be seen.
After clearing the front yard and opening the path to the house, we thought we had finally begun to see the old shape of the villa. But as we turned right, along the walkway that runs beside the outer wall, the scene that unfolded made our entire team freeze for a moment. The right side corridor, once a beautiful red-tiled path connecting the main yard to the back of the villa, had completely disappeared beneath a sea of wild grass, reaching far above our heads. Not a single tile was visible. No sign remained that this was ever a path anyone walked. The only thing standing out amid the green chaos was a large tree growing right in the middle of the walkway, its trunk as thick as a human leg, its roots piercing straight through the old brick tiles. It stood there, a living monument to 10 years of abandonment, and a stark reminder of how powerful nature becomes when left unchecked by human presence. In this episode, we'll step into that space, facing a scene even denser, more overgrown, and more unpredictable than anything we've dealt with before. Because buried in that space isn't just wild grass, but something even Hoa had forgotten still existed. After clearing the right-hand corridor and opening the path to the backyard, we thought we had finally let a bit of light back into this forgotten villa. But as we circled around to the left side, once again, nature pushed us back with force. This used to be a fruit garden, where Hoa's family once grew mangoes, jackfruit, and guavas, where her grandmother would pick ripe fruit for the children, and where little dogs used to run freely every afternoon. But after 10 years without a single human step, it had all vanished beneath a thick, tangled net of vines. The branches from once beloved fruit trees had twisted into one another, warped and strangled like hands desperately clinging to memories. What was once a garden had become a true forest, wild and suffocating. Right next to it stood the old pet enclosures, rusted metal cages, broken latches, and bent bars leaning sideways like they had just survived a storm. Every step we took meant pushing through weeds, snapping branches, and tearing apart vines wrapped tightly like rope. Beneath our feet, rotting leaves, damp trash, and the unmistakable traces of wild animals. And then, after 2 full hours of nonstop work, the jungle began to transform. Don't take your eyes off the screen, because what you're about to see is one of the most satisfying transformations yet.